Welcome to the Games Revealed podcast brought to you by BunnyStrike Studios. This is James, and only James, and maybe you'll see a little corgi butt over there. That's Loki. So we're here to bring you the next episode of the podcast. This one's going to be a single one once again. You'll see this more on and off, just depending on what we have planned. Our next game is still Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, my first time. A little hint. It's a nostalgia game, that's definitely for sure. So today's topic, which you have if you didn't see the title of this episode and just love us so much that you just dove right in, not caring what you're going to listen to, which is you're my favorite if that's you, so thank you. What we are going to be covering today is the Steam Deck. And the big reason is because it's coming up soon. I think it's going to be a huge game changer. I think Tyson thinks so too. To portability to the PC world, like portability and PC have always been slightly separate because of price, availability, and just performance, right? So like if you want a gaming laptop that's going to do decent enough on the go, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. The Switch is an exception because it's so highly optimized for it. People were able to get some decent games. And yeah, you can get a crappy laptop and play some emulators. Great. It's just the form factor's not great, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. And that's why I wanted to cover it, because I think it's one of the most important things that's going to happen this year. And it was already starting to happen a little bit last year, not because of Steam Deck, but because of other portable PCs that were coming out. They were just in the thousands, so they weren't quite there yet. And even performance, now that we have the new videos coming out, because Valve allowed some tech bloggers or vloggers or YouTubers to review the units, right? So there is going to be some interesting things coming. That is for sure in the next few months, because, well, it's going to come out this month. But I think it's going to take a little bit more than just the first drop to see how good it is. So I wanted to go over highlights, stuff that I think's good, just to reiterate on just the device itself, and then my thoughts on it also. So I also want to do a quick note. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have a new camera. I'm digging it. I just had to do a shout out. I'm sorry, it's a little deviation from today's planned content. So first off, what I want to just do some of the highlights that are on the website. I think one of the killer things, and we'll get into hardware more so, and some tech specs. You'll hear me clicking around potentially, as I'm not fully, I don't have everything set in stone on this one yet, and I want to make sure I get the specs right. So the interesting thing about the deck is that it's an AMD APU, actually, and AMD's been doing these APUs for a while now, so they've got this down to a science. So much so that, you know, I believe the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are APUs from AMD, which is pretty killer. Just to, you know, Switch isn't. It's an NVIDIA kind of APU kind of style. I don't know if that's what they call it, but our current gen consoles are powered by these just APUs, where what it is a CPU and a GPU on the same die, essentially, if I'm getting that right, or the same, you know, unit. And so it allows for the cooling to only have to go through one piece. It has some shared potential for it. With that comes other downsides, but we won't go into that right now. But it is a Zen 2 plus an RDNA 2 powerhouse is what they claim. And it's going to allow for some pretty cool things that you already expect on the current gen, next gen, current gen, whatever it is, if you can get one, which is just, it's not going to be as powerful as a PS5. Not even, you know, maybe if we're lucky, half, you know, quarter. I think we've covered this. I'm not going to go into power. I know the specs show pretty promising things, and there's some optimizations that are we're just beginning to see, and they're getting better. Now, that being said, I will have to say, as of recording this, we did get some performance reviews of like overviews, I guess would be a better thing for that, is they're 4 approved titles. So you can't really say how good it is yet, but from what we've seen so far, it's looking sick. So I will have to say, we're going to wait on that a little bit. Maybe I'll bring that up in another special or in a YouTube just update. I might start doing the news again. I really enjoyed it. Just time consuming. So we'll see how much time I have as I have other projects in the play right now. So, but the performance is going to be great, and you're going to be able to play games either low to medium at 60 frames per second, even some newer AAA. I don't think there's going to be a game that you won't be able to play on this. That being said, at how, you're going to have to sacrifice quality or frame rate, and I'm typically, especially on a portable, I'll go with quality a little bit more, but I'm looking for that sweet 40 frames per second is what I'm looking for. The price is one of the killer things, right? So I already mentioned last year we had multiple handheld PCs come out, and I think they were all Windows, and that's not bad. Windows is getting better portable wise. It still is a little bit of a resource hog, where Linux is much more of a light system, especially if you run your own custom GUI version. So, and I believe this is built on I can't remember. We'll see if the tech specs say. I can't remember what Linux kernel they're running on, but and all that jazz. So the price is going to be the killer thing, right? So the base one is $399 or $400. We'll just say that. 64 gigs eMMC, which is a little slower. You can see Mr. Loki back there. Sorry, I'm kind of deviating. Yeah, he's my co-host today, enjoying his treats, or his bone, I guess I should say, which is a treat to him. So it's going to come with a carrying case, which is cool that they're going to give you a carrying case right off the bat. They know that they want this to be portable, and the eMMC is not a great is not a great type of storage, but heck, for $400, and we've seen the specs and how this runs with the SD card, it runs really good, weirdly good. It must be highly optimized, and some games are probably optimized to load only certain assets when you click the launcher, which, to be honest, that's how it should be. I mean, it's pretty inefficient if your game takes a certain amount of time, right? To load, if you're loading all your assets at once, when you should be kind of chunk loading them. So the next tier, which is my tier that I believe I have reserved, is the 529, and it's at 256 gigs of the NVMe, which is much faster. It still comes with the carrying case, has the exclusive Steam community profile bundle, which is, it's pretty cool. I've had Steam since it was beta. Like I'm probably in the top couple thousand of people that got it in the beta in the very beginning, and it's kind of cool to say I did that. So, but I don't have a badge or anything or any community stuff. This is kind of cool to have that clout. Some people aren't going to care. I didn't get it. Let's just say I didn't get the 256 gigabyte because of that. I got it because of space, right? I also have another one reserved through Suzy, and that's for $650. That's the 512. It also has the anti-glare screen, which I'm hoping that's better experience. Not sometimes when you get the anti-glare, it can reduce the quality of the colors. So we'll see with that. There's a little warning. I know anti-glare or matte finish tend to dampen the visuals a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna see how that does. That's the one I'm gonna get. So whatever one I have, that's probably gonna be the one I use, the highest tier one. I wasn't smart when I was reserving it. I reserved whatever the middle tier. So I'm gonna be giving one to Suzy and one to myself potentially. So, and that one comes with a couple, with the anti-glare, the virtual keyboard theme, the Steam. Those are the two things that are the big kickers for the price on that. So, price wise, you even at like 650, it's a killer deal. they've really hit it out of the park with pricing here. I know people might complain that, hey, the Switch is so much cheaper. These current gen are cheaper, but this is a portable PC. You can actually hook it up to a monitor and keyboard. You can treat it like your PC if you want. So if you're thinking about getting a laptop and you needed that screen on the go, then obviously go with the laptop, right? But for other people like myself, I already have a laptop, and in fact, I kind of want to sell it, my gaming laptop that is, and just mainly use MacBook for my programming stuff and all that, and then use this as my main gaming device on the go, because I use my Switch decently enough, especially even around the house. And I've been using the PS5's. PS4 also had it, remote play, and I've come to like it quite a bit on my phone. Not that much, but I did do it there for a while when I'm playing longer games. And so yeah, I'll be surprised. I have a pretty beefy PC gaming setup, I guess, a gaming PC, right? And I'll probably still use this half the time, especially for games that I can get. I'm usually pretty big stickler for graphics. Not as much these days, but I still think I'm going to go for portability, as I have kids and with travel, with whatever, I'm going to find myself using this a lot more. So with that, let's go into some hardware. First off, there is going to be a dock that you can get. You don't have to use it. It's optional, and obviously, it's optional as in you have to buy it separately. But it's pretty cool that they still offer that, and that you can get that, and it looks nice. But you can also just use a dongle. I have a couple of dongles myself where I can plug them into my MacBook, and it has HDMI, additional USB, even Ethernet, and all that. Those are going to be supported. I'm sure they'll have I'm sure some won't be, just maybe, I don't know. They're pretty good. So I bet you they work inside of the Steam Deck, most of them, if not all. I just don't want to be too sure of myself. Let's go into a little bit of the tech specs. This is my favorite part, right? Is we kind of already talked about the GPU, APU, the CPU, GPU combo, the APU. And I will go over this. This isn't going to mean, so I won't go over it too much because it might not mean a lot to everyone, but it's going to have 4-core, 8-thread, meaning that's pretty standard for gaming nowadays. Like, you want to have like multiple cores is getting better for gaming. I don't know how many games actually handle those, but 8 threads is awesome. So, and it's going to be between 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz. And I'm sure it says between because it's going to be throttled. It's not because any of the other versions will be faster or not. It's just it can throttle. And so I'm assuming its peak performance is at 3.5 gigahertz, which is pretty beastly, actually, for a handheld like this. And its GPU is going to have 8 RDNA, 2 CUDA cores, which is 2 Qs, which is going to be pretty sick. I'm not going to go, once again, I'm not going to go too deep into this. I got to say, like, the specs on this are so killer. From my understanding, in fact, let's do a quick check right here. Let's see what the PS4's teraflops were. I know, I apologize. I'm doing this on the go. It's 1.84 teraflops. So 1.8, let's just round that. 1.8 teraflops. This is going to be it's about 1.6 teraflops. So the PS4 is slightly faster in its GPU, but you got to remember, this is something you plug into the wall. The cooling on it's much bigger. This is a much smaller device. So with that also, you're going to be running games at a lot lower frame rate. And then there's some techniques that they've been coming out with that will allow you to make it look like it's higher frames. Should I say frame rates? I meant resolutions. Holy crap. It's getting a little late here, but I'm so excited, and I want to make sure that this podcast got out for this and the podcast. I'm excited for the podcast. So really translating all this is going to probably run better than the PS4 for a lot of games because the optimization techniques they went with, just as a shout out to that, it's going to be pretty crazy, and we're already seeing it. So with the Linux, between the Linux and their techniques, that 1.6 is going to be treated much better than that 1.8 with Sony. Sony is built on its own proprietary Linux kernel, I believe, Unix kernel, but I think these are just going to be so much more optimized. So in my opinion, I think we're going to have about the same, if not a little bit better experience, and maybe even visuals. We'll see. I'm sure if you plug it into a monitor, that's going to change. So this is all I'm talking about and commenting on is on the go. 16 gigs RAM, awesome. I'm glad they did not go for the 8. That kind of seems like typical there for a while, but that is going to be RAM that's, I believe, shared between the GPU and the CPU, the APU that is. And so they hit it right on, I think, with that. With that comes, the different storage options. Those are pretty. It actually sounds like the 512 gigs is going to be even higher speeds than the 256, which is interesting that they went that route. And everything's balanced, so you can upgrade the NVMe, but the problem with that is that these have been very balanced for battery, so it could kill some of your battery life upgrading. Just look at the specs. If you know what you're doing, look at the specs. You'll be fine. They have the haptic controllers, right? They have and this is the part that I'm not sure about actually. I'm glad that they have the haptic touch pads, but having those and also the joysticks, which I'd rather have the joysticks to be honest. So having both is awesome, but if they had to choose between the two, or one or the other, but those haptics will make for I think a better experience for certain games. We kind of got it with the Steam controller, right? Not the most popular controller, but yeah, we did get it, and it was good. And I actually thought it was pretty intuitive and an ingenious idea. I didn't use them that much because I have a keyboard mouse, and I'd rather do stuff that you would do with that on a keyboard and mouse. I think that's one of the problems. This is completely different ball game, and I think that's why they're going to do so well. That being said, we'll see between the two and the positionings. I hear if you have smaller hands from Linus Tech Tips, you're gonna struggle a little bit more. I got beefy hands. I don't know if they're big. They're just thick and a little chubby. But so we'll see. I think they'll be fine for me. The resolution. This is the thing I keep on forgetting to mention, and I didn't. So 1280 by 800 pixels with a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So your typical screen size is like on monitors is 16 by 9. So this is gonna be a little taller, and it's going to be and that's smaller than the 1080, right? So like the last gen did really well at HD 1080. The new gen I think is they're shouting that they can do 4K and all that. I think they do adaptive control, like they upscale kind of stuff. They use techniques to get there, and it's not truly. They still 4K gaming still not like quite there. With my 3090, I can do 4K gaming at a decent frame rate. It's still not like perfect, so it takes a lot to get to that the 4K level. With the screen size and with the techniques that they use for rendering, I've heard that it looks still pretty good. So we'll see with that. It's going to look much better than the Switch. So it's going to be 7-inch screen, 400 nits of brightness, which I hear is pretty decent. At 60 frames or 60 hertz refresh rates, which is going to bring in 60 frames per second. And I think that's awesome. I think but that will drop your battery. Just know, with every frame rate increase, you're going to lose battery life. I don't know how good it's going to be at 60 compared to 30 on some games, but you're going to lose battery life with that. And it's a touchscreen, ambient light sensor, which is cool, meaning it's like your phone. It's a lot of these technologies are kind of been already out, so I'm hoping they're piggybacking off that, so it's not like their own proprietary. I don't know if this is even a proprietary system, but I find if a company tries to do too much of their own stuff without pulling in from outside, it tends to just not be good. So, but what that means, if you go outside, it's going to brighten up the screen a little bit. If you go inside, it can dim it. It save you a battery life and also save you from having to hit that the brightness button up and down. Bluetooth, of course, which is Switch. You had Bluetooth. They just enabled it through a software update. I can't believe Nintendo. Like, Nintendo's done some really stupid things for their cash cow, because that thing's a cash cow. It's something they're just making them money. And they really screwed the pooch, in my opinion, by not allowing for accessories like headphones to connect through Bluetooth, and they enabled it recently. I was able to hook up my portable my wireless headphones, because I don't do wires. I've cut the wires on headphones 20 years ago. So yeah, no. Some of the earlier adopters, I was one of the earlier adopters for Bluetooth headphones, and they were crappy in the beginning, but I can't do the wired. Wi-Fi, of course, it's going to have the audio. The audio is going to be decent. I hear that the speakers are amazing from Linus Tech Tips video, which was pretty insightful. For how small they are, they're pretty awesome. The power input is going to be a 45 watt USB Type-C power supply. So it should be able to, I'm assuming at that, it will be able to share with like your phone. So you'll be able to use your phone, MacBook, whatever it is. And that battery is a 40 watt battery. Sorry, I'm pausing a little bit. I'm thinking this through. They say that 2 to 8 hours, if you really adjust things. I'm hearing that the 8 hours is possible, which is typically rare. Usually when they say that, it's like 2 to 8. That's if you disable literally everything and you can't see the screen. With this, I'm thinking this is going to be a 4-hour gaming machine on average, which is nice. It's not bad. It could be better, but heck, that's still not bad. And then, the micro SDs, and it can output to 8K, which is pretty awesome. So, okay. And then the operating system is SteamOS, which it is their own brand, with the Arch base. So it's using the Arch base Linux operating system, and the desktop is KDE Plasma, which I thought they were running their own with the SteamOS. I thought it was running their own desktop UI, GUI, or I can't remember what it's called. It's been so long since I've used Linux. This is going to be refreshing to get back into Linux again some more. In fact, it might actually get me back into doing some Linux builds through my computer and just trying Linux gaming out. Linux Tech Tips did an interesting thing on that, and I think Linux is going to be a little bit more for gaming in the near future, thanks to Proton, which is what allows the compatibility. So if a game doesn't natively support Linux, Proton is essentially software that allows it to not really emulate, but emulate like if it was its native operating system into a Linux one. And there's optimizations going on all the time, including games. There's like 500 confirmed games, including the Portals, the Half-Lives. It's just anything that's Valve specific. I think they're trying to get it supported. And one of the greatest things that's not supported is Fortnite, right? So, I mean, a lot of people hate Fortnite, but no, I kid, but that's a whole other thing. And Epic is not going to support the Steam Deck, but I will be interesting to see if there's some people that hack the Epic game launcher to see if it works, because if they can do that, then potentially Fortnite, if we can get compatibility with the DRM. That's the problem, is the DRM is not going to be supported, and that's been the biggest issue for a lot of these games. But I think this is going to be so big that they're going to lose money by not doing it. Also, Steam does do a 30% take of the money, but I think they've gone down. I thought it was like 20% if you make so much money potentially, which I'll have to say that's one thing that Epic's done great, is make competition, right? So with that being said, the approximate weight is going to be 120 grams. So it's going to be a little heftier than the Switch, quite a bit. It's going to be quite a bit bigger than the Switch. Just as a heads up, if you're thinking that this is going to be a 1-to-1 with the Switch or even close, it's not. But it's still pretty portable in my opinion. It's going to fit my backpack. It's going to be probably one of the things I carry around with me the most, honestly. So just as a heads up on that. Oh, sorry. I said that wrong. Wow. Whew. So what I just mentioned that was the official dock is going to be that many. I was going to say that's really light. So it's going to be 669 grams to clarify that. So once again, it's not, you're holding it above your head. Oh my gosh, I got this new camera. Holding it above your head and playing like you do with the Switch might be a little tiresome after a little while, but it'll be good arm workout. So you can do some crunches with that if you ever need to work out. So just get 2 of them. You're set to go. So talk about the deck compatibility. There is a deck verified system. It has 4 categories: verified, playable, unsupported, and unknown, meaning it's just never been checked. I think playable requires a little bit of tweaks for the player. I'm not too concerned about that one. If it says playable, so far Steam's playable with their controller systems have been pretty decent in my opinion. So verified and playable are going to be decent. Unsupported, they've already said they're not going to support Half-Life Alyx. I think there's going to be mods that are going to say otherwise, meaning I think there's already mods coming out for keyboard and mouse. I bet you it's going to be playable, whether or not you want to. That game, to be honest, deserves to be played in VR, but if you can't ever play it in VR, if you think you'll never be able to play it in VR, then yeah, I would say keyboard and mouse. Get a mod. That game's amazing. So let's get into the reservation. So the release date is February 25th. That's when they say the release date, from my understanding, or maybe it's the 23rd. It's 23rd or 25th when they're going to send out the announcements of like, hey, you're up. You need to go to this portal, buy it. I think they give you a couple of days and then they drop off and mitigate it down to the next person. That being said, you're going to be crazy because if you're not going to buy it, then you if you're not going to buy it and not play it right away and you're going to wait, I would probably just buy it and sell it. There's already one on eBay for $7,000, and that's the last time I checked, which was like yesterday. $7,000. Someone's pre-selling. They're like, "Yep, I'm up in line. I've been told I'm one of the first. Here's $7,000. Give me $7,000, or it's still being bidded on. It could be even more, and you'll get it." It's really hard because it's making me feel like, oh, I'm going to lose $6,500 if I don't sell mine, but the scalping thing has got to go. I'm so done with it. So I definitely will be keeping mine. I'm not getting a day one, so it's even saying it's worth $6,500, probably not, because I'm probably going to be in like 2 months. I was some of the first, but unfortunately, because their website was so hung up, I didn't get Q1. I got Q2, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty early into Q2, so it will probably be 2 or 3 months before I get mine. I'm being optimistic. I try to be a little bit more optimistic anyways, so and this is after being delayed. So the reservations is only 1 per account. They're trying to make it eliminate scalpers, which they're still going to get some, obviously. That's why someone's selling on eBay already. But it's still going to reduce. It's not like a scalper can pick up a whole lot with a bot. But we'll see. I think it's going to mitigate a lot of it, but we'll see, because it's going to suck not to be able to get, it's going to suck if you can't get it. So I would go over some games, but I'm not. I just don't have the time for that now. But I want to go over some of my favorite things for me, and I've kind of talked about it, I guess, already a little bit. But the form factor is actually one of the things that, like, I'm a little worried about. I see this Game Gear, and I had it, but I shouldn't say I'm worried about it. I loved my Game Gear growing up. I was pretty little when I got it, but it was awesome. It just ate through batteries. Luckily, they fixed it, and this new Game Gear, the Gabe Gear, is actually what they call it. I've heard that one on the internet. It's the Gabe Gear. And I agree with that. And this should be called the Gabe gear from here on out. Praise Gabe. And it's just, it looks, the layout doesn't look comfortable, but I've seen people use it, and I'm going to believe it is. And I've heard it's some of the best controllers are like joysticks, and they're replaceables. You can open it up. It doesn't look like it's like certain parts aren't going to be too repairable, but it definitely looks like it will be repairable. It definitely looks like you have options. I love options. And so between the joysticks and the haptic feedback trackpads, we'll see. I'm excited. The only downside is I heard the haptic feedback period. So like the rumble feature sucks horribly, and they could potentially improve it with software. We'll see. I'm not too concerned, but I might have taken it. I might have gotten too used. Let's say I have gotten too used to controllers rumbling, I'm sure, and so I enjoy it, and so I'm getting a downgrade on that. I'll probably notice, but I think I'm gonna. It's still like that's the only downside I can think of, and I could disable it and be fine playing this game because it's on the go kind of stuff. So that being said, form factor, I can play any of the games I want. I have a huge backlog, and I've been saving a couple games actually for this deck because I want to play them on the go. I don't want to play them on my PC. They're too RPG-ish, where I don't like actually playing RPGs on the computer. I actually don't even like playing them on the PC anymore. I want to play them on the go because it's something I can read, or I go back and play some of the old Final Fantasies. I'd love that. So I'm going to be using this a lot for going back and playing a lot of the games I have not played in years, and then playing a couple of the new third-person shooters. And I probably won't be doing first-person shooters too often unless it's Dying Light 2. So we'll see. I might play a lot of Dying Light 2. I'm probably going to play a lot of it starting out on my main PC, and then I'm probably going to get tired of that and go to the Steam Deck. I'm excited for the performance. I'm a tech nerd, so I love seeing what's going to come from this on the performance side. And then I'm so excited for mods, and they're opening up the design for this, which is Valve's thing. Like, Valve does such a good job of like opening up their certain designs and stuff like that, right, to the public to see if anyone else will be able to use the knowledge that they've done. They're going to make so much money off this. There's going to be so many people buying so many more games that are deck verified and on the go, that are great on the go. So they're, and that's why this is going to be the new age of PC gaming, I think, and portable gaming. This thing's going to bring us into it. It doesn't seem like it for some. I think some people are skeptical. I understand though. I understand why you'd be skeptical. I think this is going to be huge. I think it's going to take a year or two for it to really take off because availability, in my opinion. I'm going to be lucky enough to get it the first year, I feel like. But maybe if they make it's just also like chip shortages. We're having all sorts of shortages right now, depending on when you're watching this. And that's going to cause some issues. But as for what we're going to be able to do, I'm hoping that they come out with a Steam Deck 2 in the next year and a half, because I think this chip is actually based on a little bit older architecture, and because we got this announcement almost a year ago, you know that like they have better chips now. Now the roadmaps, they kind of have this kind of played out in AMD's roadmap. I've seen the roadmaps before, so I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, we know that this chip will be ready now, but I still feel like it's outdated, and we're going to see an RDNA 3 chipset for portable devices soon. So I expect this to be like Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead 1 launched, then a year later Left 4 Dead 2. I don't think it's going to be a 1 year process. I think it's going to be 2. But the thing is, you're not going to be restricted to play anything. That's the beautiful thing about PC, about doing this with the Switch. From Switch 1 to 2, they can make it so it's incompatible. PS4 to PS5, it's not like you can play PS5 games on your PS4. This is different. There's games not specifically made for the Steam Deck. So this is really exciting. That's what makes this so exciting, is that, and that's why I support PC so much, is that I don't have to worry about my PC, my new PC, my old PC playing things typically. Yeah, if your old PC gets really old, you can't play the new stuff. It's just, that's how time works though. can't do anything about that. But you can always play your old stuff, and they're almost always, with some exceptions, usually with some fixes, you can. So that being said, new age of gaming, I think this is going to be killer. I've talked enough on this, and just let me know in the comments below if you're on YouTube. Let me know by email or whatever you have to do. Let me know what you guys think. I'm so excited for this. Hopefully you guys are too. If you're not, that's fine. There's other things. If you're not a portable gaming person, that's fine. Just know that this is a big deal, and it's going to make PC gaming even more affordable for people that can't afford to get into the higher tiers. So awesome. If you're a college student, you've just lucked out. This is going to be amazing. So thank you guys, and just remember to go to gamesrevealed.com. We have a new website. We have our store set up. We have a new mug that's not out on the store yet, but it will be soon. And whatever drops I need to do will be on there. You'll get updates on there. So thank you guys for listening. This has been the Games Revealed podcast, brought to you by BunnyStrike Sudio. And this is James signing out, and little Loki over there. Say bye, Loki. Bork, bork. Later, guys.